Hare Krishna. Today we will continue with our reading from the Nectar of Instruction, text number 5. The translation, the synonyms, and the purport were all written by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, and published by the Bhaktivedanta Book Trust. We will begin by reading the Sanskrit verse for number 5. Krishneti yasha giritang manasadriyeta dikshasti chet pranati visha bhajantam isham shushushaya bhajana vigyamananya anya nindati shunya hridam ipsita sangalabhya. Word for word synonyms. Krishna, the holy name of Lord Krishna. Iti, thus. Yasha, of whom. Giri, in the words or speech. Tam, him. Manasa, by the mind. Adriyeta, one must honor. Diksha, initiation. Asti, there is. Chet, if. Pranat, tibi, by obeisances. Cha, also. Bhajantam, engaged in devotional service. Isham, unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Shushushaya, by practical service. Bhajana, vigyam, one who is advanced in devotional service. Ananyam, without deviation. Anyaninda adi, of blasphemy of others, etc. Shunya, completely devoid. Hridam, whose heart. Ipsita, desirable. Sangha, association. Labhya, by gaining. Translation. One should mentally honor the devotee who chants the holy name of Lord Krishna. One should offer humble obeisances to the devotee who has undergone spiritual initiation, Diksha, and is engaged in worshipping the deity. And one should associate with him and faithfully serve that devotee who is advanced in undeviated devotional service and whose heart is completely devoid of the propensity to criticize others. Purport. In order to intelligently apply the sixfold loving reciprocations mentioned in the previous verse, one must select proper persons with careful discrimination. Srila Rupa Goswami therefore advises that we should meet with the Vaishnavas in an appropriate way according to their particular status. In this verse he tells us how to deal with 3 types of devotees: the Kanishta Adhikari, Majjhima Adhikari, and Uttama Adhikari. The Kanishta Adhikari is a neophyte who has received the Harinam initiation from the spiritual master and is trying to chant the holy name of Krishna. One should respect such a person within his mind as a Kanishta Vaishnav. A Majjhima Adhikari has received spiritual initiation from the spiritual master and has been fully engaged by him in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. The Majjhima Adhikari should be considered to be situated midway in devotional service. The Uttama Adhikari, or highest devotee, is one who is very advanced in devotional service. And Uttama Adhikari is not interested in blaspheming others. His heart is completely clean, and he has attained the realized state of unalloyed Krishna consciousness. According to Srila Rupa Goswami, the association and service of such a Mahabhagavat or perfect Vaishnav are most desirable. One should not remain a Kanishta Adhikari, one who is situated on the lowest platform of devotional service and is interested only in worshipping the deity in the temple. Such a devotee is described in the 11th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, the 11th canto, 2nd chapter, verse 47. Archayam eva haraye pujang ya shradaye hate natad bhakteshu chanyeshu sabhakta prakrita smritaha. Quote, a person who is very faithfully engaged in the worship of the deity in the temple, but who does not know how to behave toward devotees or people in general, is called a Prakrita Bhakta, or Kanishta Adhikari. End quote. One therefore has to raise himself from the position of Kanishta Adhikari to the platform of Majjhima Adhikari. The Majjhima Adhikari is described in the Srimad Bhagavatam, 11th canto, 2nd chapter, verse 46, in this way. Ishware tad adineshu balisheshu vishatsu cha prema maitri kripopeksha ya karoti sa Majjhamaha. Quote, the Majjhima Adhikari is a devotee who worships the Supreme Personality of Godhead as the highest object of love, makes friends with the Lord's devotees, is merciful to the ignorant, and avoids those who are envious by nature. End quote. This is the way to cultivate devotional service properly. Therefore, in this verse, Srila Rupa Goswami has advised us how to treat various devotees. We can see from practical experience that there are different types of Vaishnavas. The Prakrita Sahajas generally chant the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, yet they are attached to women, money, and intoxication. Although such persons may chant the holy name of the Lord, they are not yet properly purified. Such people should be respected within one's mind, but their association should be avoided. Those who are innocent but simply carried away by bad association should be shown favor if they are eager to receive proper instructions from the pure devotees. But those neophyte devotees who are actually initiated by the bona fide spiritual master and are seriously engaged in carrying out the orders of the spiritual master should be offered respectful obeisances. In this Krishna consciousness movement, a chance is given to everyone without discrimination of caste, creed, or color. Everyone is invited to join this movement, sit with us, take prasad, and hear about Krishna. When we see that someone is actually interested in Krishna consciousness and wants to be initiated, we accept him as a disciple for the chanting of the holy names of the Lord. When a neophyte devotee is actually initiated and engaged in devotional service by the orders of the spiritual master, he should be accepted immediately as a bona fide Vaishnav, and obeisances should be offered unto him. Out of many such Vaishnavas, one may be found to be very seriously engaged in the service of the Lord and strictly following all the regulative principles, chanting the prescribed number of rounds on japa beads, and always thinking of how to expand the Krishna consciousness movement. Such a Vaishnava should be accepted as an Uttama Adhikari, a highly advanced devotee, and his association should always be sought. The process by which a devotee becomes attached to Krishna is described in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Antya-lila, chapter 4, verse 192. Diksha Kali Bhakta Kare Atma Samarpan Se Kali Krishna Tare Kare Atma Sam. Quote, at the time of initiation, when a devotee fully surrenders to the service of the Lord, Krishna accepts him to be as good as he himself. End quote. Diksha, or spiritual initiation, is explained in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 283 by Srila Jiva Goswami. Divyam jnanam yato dajyat kuryat papasya sankshayam tasmad diksheti sa prokta deshikaistatva kovidaha. Quote, by Diksha, one gradually becomes disinterested in material enjoyment and gradually becomes interested in spiritual life. End quote. We have seen many practical examples of this, especially in Europe and America. Many students who come to us from rich and respectable families quickly lose all interest in material enjoyment and become very eager to enter into spiritual life. Although they come from very wealthy families, many of them accept living conditions that are not very comfortable. Indeed, for Krishna's sake, they are prepared to accept any living condition as long as they can live in the temple and associate with the Vaishnavas. When one becomes so disinterested in material enjoyment, he becomes fit for initiation by the spiritual master. For the advancement of spiritual life, Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 6, Chapter 1, Text 13, prescribes Tapasya brahmacharyena shamena cha damena cha. When a person is serious about accepting Diksha, he must be prepared to practice austerity, celibacy, and control of the mind and body. If one is so prepared and is desirous of receiving spiritual enlightenment, divyam jnanam, he is fit for being initiated. Divyam jnanam is technically called tad-vijnana, or knowledge about the Supreme. Tad-vijnanartam sa-gurum eva vigachet. When one is interested in the transcendental subject matter of the Absolute Truth, he should be initiated. Such a person should approach a spiritual master in order to take Diksha. Srimad Bhagavatam, 11th Canto, 3rd Chapter, Text 21, also prescribes Tasmad Gurung Prapajante Jigasu Shreya Uttamam. Quote, when one is actually interested in the transcendental science of the Absolute Truth, he should approach a spiritual master. End quote. One should not accept a spiritual master without following his instructions. Nor should one accept a spiritual master just to make a fashionable show of spiritual life. One must be jigyasu, very much inquisitive, to learn from the bona fide spiritual master. The inquiries one makes should strictly pertain to transcendental science, Jigyasu Shreya Uttamam. The word Uttamam refers to that which is above material knowledge. Tama means the darkness of this material world, and Ut means transcendental. Generally, people are very interested in inquiring about mundane subject matters, but when one has lost such interest and is simply interested in transcendental subject matters, he is quite fit for being initiated. When one is actually initiated by a bona fide spiritual master, and when he seriously engages in service of the Lord, he should be accepted as a Majjhima Adhikar. The chanting of the holy names of Krishna is so sublime that if one chants the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra offenselessly, carefully avoiding the 10 offenses, he can certainly be gradually elevated to the point of understanding that there is no difference between the holy name of the Lord and the Lord himself. One who has reached such an understanding should be very much respected by neophyte devotees. One should know for certain that without chanting the holy name of the Lord offenselessly, one cannot be a proper candidate for advancement in Krishna consciousness. In the Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Lila, chapter 22, verse 69, it is said, Yahara Kamala Shraddha Se Kanishta Jana Krame Krame Teno Bhakta Haive Uttama. Quote, one whose faith is soft and pliable is called a neophyte, but by gradually following the process, he will rise to the platform of a first-class devotee. End quote. Everyone begins his devotional life from the neophyte stage, but if one properly finishes chanting the prescribed number of rounds of Hare Nam, he is elevated step by step to the highest platform, Uttama Adhikar. The Krishna consciousness movement prescribes 16 rounds daily because people in the Western countries cannot concentrate for long periods while chanting on beads. Therefore, the minimum number of rounds is prescribed. However, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur used to say that unless one chants at least 64 rounds of japa, 100,000 names, he is considered fallen, patita. According to this calculation, practically every one of us is fallen. But because we are trying to serve the Supreme Lord with all seriousness and without duplicity, we can expect the mercy of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is famous as Patita Pavana, the deliverer of the fallen. When Srila Satyaraj Khan, a great devotee of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, asked the Lord how a Vaishnav could be recognized, the Lord replied, Prabhu kahe yanra mukhe shuni ekabar, Krishna nama se puja shreshta sab akar. Quote, if one hears a person say even once the word Krishna, that person should be accepted as the best man out of the common group. End quote. That's from the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Lila, chapter 15, verse 106. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu continued, Ataiva yanra mukhe eka Krishna nam, Seta Vaishnava Kariya Tanhara Saman. One who is interested in chanting the holy name of Krishna, or who by practice likes to chant Krishna's names, should be accepted as a Vaishnava and offered respects as such, at least within one's mind. From the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Lila, chapter 15, verse 111. One of our friends, a famous English musician, has become attracted to chanting the holy names of Krishna, and even in his records, he has several times mentioned the holy name of Krishna. At his home, he offers respects to pictures of Krishna and also to the preachers of Krishna consciousness. In all regards, he has a very high estimation for Krishna's name and Krishna's activities, and therefore we offer respects to him without reservation, for we are actually seeing that this gentleman is advancing gradually in Krishna consciousness. Such a person should always be shown respect. The conclusion is that anyone who is trying to advance in Krishna consciousness by regularly chanting the holy name should always be respected by Vaishnavas. On the other hand, we have witnessed that some of our contemporaries who are supposed to be great preachers have gradually fallen into the material conception of life because they have failed to chant the holy name of the Lord. While giving instructions to Sanatana Goswami, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu divided devotional service into 3 categories. Shastra Yukti Nahi Jane Trida Shradhavan Majjhima Adhikari Se Mahabhagyavan. Quote, a person whose conclusive knowledge of the Shastras is not very strong, but who has developed firm faith in chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, and who is also undeterred in the execution of his prescribed devotional service, should be understood or should be considered a Majjhima Adhikari. Such a person is very fortunate. As from the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Lila, chapter 22, verse 67. A Majjhima Adhikari is a Shraddhavan, a staunchly faithful person, and he is actually a candidate for further advancement in devotional service. Therefore, in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Lila, chapter 22, verse 64, it is said, Shraddhavan Janahaya Bhakti Adhikar Uttama Majjhima Kanishta Shraddha Anusari. Quote, one becomes qualified as a devotee on the elementary platform, the intermediate platform, and the highest platform of devotional service, according to the development of his Shraddha, faith. Again, in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Lila, chapter 22, verse 62, it is said, Shraddha Shave Vishvasa Kahe Sudridya Nishchaya Krishna Bhakti Kaile Sarva Karma Krita Haya. Quote, by rendering transcendental service to Krishna, one automatically performs all subsidiary activities. This confident, firm faith favorable to the discharge of devotional service is called Shraddha. Shraddha, faith in Krishna, is the beginning of Krishna consciousness. Faith means strong faith. The words of Bhagavad Gita are authoritative instructions for faithful men, and whatever Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita is to be accepted as it is, without interpretations. This was the way Arjuna accepted Bhagavad Gita. After hearing Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna told Krishna, Sarvam etad vitang manye Yanmang Vadasi Keshava. Quote, O Krishna, I totally accept this truth. all that you have told me." End quote. This is from Bhagavad Gita, chapter 10, verse 14. This is the correct way of understanding Bhagavad Gita, and this is called Shraddha. It is not that one accepts a portion of Bhagavad Gita according to his own whimsical interpretations and then rejects another portion. This is not Shraddha. Shraddha means accepting the instructions of the Bhagavad Gita in their totality, especially the last instruction, Sarva dharmang parityajya mamekang sharanam vraja. Quote, "Abandon all varieties of religion and just surrender unto me." End quote. Bhagavad Gita, chapter 18, verse 66. When one becomes completely faithful in regard to this instruction, one's strong faith becomes the basis for advancing in spiritual life. When one fully engages in chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, he gradually realizes his own spiritual identity. Unless one faithfully chants the Hare Krishna mantra, Krishna does not reveal himself. Sevan mukhe hijivada swayam eva sparatyada. That's from the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 1.2.234. We cannot realize the Supreme Personality of Godhead by any artificial means. We must engage faithfully in the service of the Lord. Such service begins with the tongue, Sevan mukhe hijivada, which means that we should always chant the holy names of the Lord and accept Krishna Prasad. We should not chant or accept anything else. When this process is faithfully followed, the Supreme Lord reveals himself to the devotee. When a person realizes himself to be an eternal servitor of Krishna, he loses interest in everything but Krishna's service. Always thinking of Krishna, devising means by which to spread the holy name of Krishna, he understands that his only business is in spreading the Krishna consciousness movement all over the world. Such a person is to be recognized as an Uttama Adhikari, and his association should be immediately accepted according to the 6 processes, Tadati Pratigrinati, etc. Indeed, the advanced Uttama Adhikari, Vaishnava devotee, should be accepted as a spiritual master. Everything one possesses should be offered to him, for it is enjoined that one should deliver whatever he has to the spiritual master. The brahmachari in particular is supposed to beg alms from others and offer them to the spiritual master. However, one should not imitate the behavior of an advanced devotee or Mahabhagavat without being self-realized, for by such imitation one will eventually become degraded. In this verse, Srila Rupa Goswami advises the devotee to be intelligent enough to distinguish between the Kanishta Adhikari, Madhyama Adhikari, and Uttama Adhikari. The devotee should also know his own position and should not try to imitate a devotee situated on a higher platform. Srila Bhaktivedanta Thakur has given some practical hints to the effect that an Uttama Adhikari Vaishnav can be recognized by his ability to convert many fallen souls to Vaishnavism. One should not become a spiritual master unless he has attained the platform of Uttama Adhikari. A neophyte Vaishnav or a Vaishnav situated on the intermediate platform can also accept disciples, but such disciples must be on the same platform, and it should be understood that they cannot advance very well toward the ultimate goal of life under his insufficient guidance. Therefore, a disciple should be careful to accept an Uttama Adhikari as a spiritual master. And this ends the reading of the translation and the purport to text number 5 of the Nectar of Instruction. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.